Now, researchers at the University of Pretoria have made a significant breakthrough in understanding diet-related obesity by identifying a gene that's found to be a key factor in fat accumulation. This discovery could pave the way for more effective and sustainable treatments for obesity. With obesity rates rising globally, especially in South Africa, these findings offer hope for tackling a major public health challenge. Associate Professor at the University of Pretoria's Institute for Cellular and Molecular Medicine, Professor Melvin Ambele, joins us for more. Good evening, Professor. Thank you very much for joining us on the late edition. What a breakthrough. Talk us through it.
Thank you very much for having me on your show, and good evening to all your listeners. So our research has actually led us to this very exciting discovery, which is the gene that significantly protects against the development of diet-induced obesity. So it does so by significantly reducing lipid accumulation in the fat cells in our body. And even so, it substantially reduces lipid accumulation in key organs like the liver, the lungs, the kidneys, and other organs which we know are not meant to store fat, because we know that fat accumulation in these organs is what leads to some of the comorbidities that are linked to obesity. Hence, we are very excited about our discovery of this important gene because it gives us hope not only to target obesity, but also to mitigate the risk of developing some of the comorbidities like type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and some cancers that are linked to obesity.
And obesity, of course, is not just a challenge for health itself, but also the economy, because of the number of people, because it takes a toll on the economy, because of the number of people that might take off from work because they're sick. But if we had to delve deeper into your research, just talk to us about the aspect of having obesity research that also separately focuses on obesity in the different genders. Why is it important to research obesity and how it develops in males versus females?
Yes, you're absolutely right. It takes a toll on the economy, it takes a toll on the health of the population. So basically, what this speaks from our research is that obesity develops in both genders, male and female. However, the way we do respond to diet-induced obesity is different in the different genders. So one very important observation from our study, which is preclinical study that we found, is that gender-specific responses in terms of diet-induced obesity affect organs and even affect the way hormones that are altered in obesity differently. So it is very, very important for us to always include both sex in clinical research that has an impact on the population, because we want to be able to develop solutions that will be able to provide a holistic way to be able to address such a condition in our population.
And now, when we speak of obesity, Professor, there's also an aspect of socialization for many, just how they relate to the whole term obesity, because you find in some cultures when somebody is of a bigger weight, it's said that they're happier, they're healthier, and somebody who's slightly smaller in certain tribes, perhaps, or even social spaces, they're considered to be unhealthy. So just talk to us about the impact that socialization has on how big or small we are in society.
Yeah, I think the general trend of increase in obesity, which we see now in our society, and overweight, I think it brings that sense of urgency that we need to educate people regarding the science behind obesity.
Yeah.
For us to be able to know that this is a complex disease. So it's not only associated to diet, but there are other factors that contribute to the development of obesity, such as the environment, socioeconomic status. And it is very important for us to understand the science so that we can be able to dispel some of the misconceptions which are normally associated with people living with obesity. For example, people will say it's your fault or lack of self-control. So these are all things that brings about stigmatization. So as a society, by us understanding the science behind obesity, we can be able to help those who are living with obesity to manage this condition effectively.
Can we say, Professor, that obesity can be measured or seen with the eye? Because sometimes you go to the doctor and then you hear about your body mass index as a person, then you're told, actually, Mfundo, you're slightly obese in that respect, if we just look at your height, etc. And then you come to colleagues or friends and tell them that, according to my doctor, I'm obese, and then friends can say, no, you're not. So if we just had to dispel that aspect, is obesity always something that is seen to the eye, or we have to be scientific about it, that if we measure by your BMI, you could be found to be obese, although somebody else might, looking at you, not feel that you're obese?
So that's a very important question, because over the years, BMI has always been used to measure weight, and that gives us, a measure of how fat you are in terms of whether you are obese or you're overweight or you're underweight.
Yeah.
So, but we know that the science behind obesity, it affects multiple organs. It's multisystemic. So you may find that there are people, for example, if you take a body weight builder, they may have a higher BMI, but are they obese? You realize that they have more lean mass than fat mass. So when we speak about obesity, we're basically talking about the accumulation of fat mass that has a negatively impact on our health. So this we can measure by looking at the hormones that are actually responsible for body metabolism. So these hormones are usually altered in obesity. So irrespective of your weight, we may be able to tell if a person is obese by the effect of this fat mass on the health of this person. So it goes beyond BMI, but for now, BMI still remains the gold standard, which we can basically use across all countries.
Now, Professor, the current pharmaceutical options have been criticized for offering short-term outcomes and undesirable side effects when it comes to managing weight. How would this break through, or at least this research, assist in just treatment for obesity?
Yes, we are cognizant of the fact that there are current treatment out there that addresses obesity. But however, this treatment also comes with limitation in the sense that it addresses some of the fundamental aspects that leads to obesity. For example, it interferes with appetite so that it reduces food intake, that decreases your calorie that you intake. But what we have actually uncovered is a gene that is actually responsible for lipid accumulation in your fat cells. So however or whatever cause that leads to obesity development, be it medical condition, be it lifestyle, the bottom line is there is lipid accumulation in the fat cells. So what we have uncovered actually give us hope to be able to provide a more sustainable way of addressing obesity from the root cause, which is mitigating lipid accumulation in our fat cells. So we think this is, if further research will be able to validate this as a more effective and sustainable way to be able to combat not only obesity, but some of the comorbidities that are linked to obesity.
It's most certainly quite impressive. Professor, thank you very much for joining us on the program. That's Professor Melvin Ambele speaking to us there.